Good morning and welcome. Good morning and welcome to my Wednesday live stream. My name is Elizabeth and this is Old School and Eclectic Crafts. I am the sole owner and creator for the Etsy shop Old School and Eclectic. So today we're doing a little bit of a behind the scenes for my shop, and maybe I'll end up just sitting talking, telling stories. I don't know. This is going to be kind of chaotic. I've been trying to come up with what I'm going to talk about or what I'm going to share, and I haven't been able to come up with much. So yeah, it's going to be a bit chaotic. So let's start with what I've been working on. First of all, I don't currently have any orders for my Etsy shop, which feels kind of strange to me because it's the first time since last December that I have had a gap of no orders. So it feels kind of strange to not have anything in my queue to work on. Winston just brought his favorite toy in here to play with. Didn't you? Yeah. This is his favorite toy. It's a little bunny rabbit, but we call it Squirrel because the very first iteration of it was a squirrel, and he's not willing to change names for it. You already had playtime. I very intentionally played with him for a solid 10 minutes before going live here this morning because I knew he would want to play. No more, not right now. I knew he'd want to play, so I intentionally tried to play with him so that he would get all of it out. Hi, do you want to come here? Oh. Come on. Oh. There we go. There's Winston. So I was hoping that he would get all of his energy out before I started my live stream. So I think I'll start by sharing some of the projects that I've been working on or have finished in the last little bit. So the last order that I finished was my knit pumpkin wreath, which I actually finished on my live stream last week. But because of life and issues finding a box that'll fit, I didn't actually get it shipped out until Monday. But it's officially shipped out, which that was my last order at the moment. So if you want to order anything, now's the time to do it because I don't have any orders right now. I will say that the USPS, United States Postal Service, they are doubling their shipping charges over the holiday season. So from mid-October to late January, prices will be doubled for shipping. So if you want to order something to get it shipped, you should probably do it now before mid-October. Plus, at least if you're ordering from me and everything's being handmade after you place your order, you're going to want to get it ordered now so that way I have enough time to make it. I showed you guys last week this black work that I finished. I haven't done anything with it yet. I mean, it's still sitting here from where I put it after my last live stream. This is a peppermint purple year-long stitch-along. I've spent this past week trying to find a way to mount it and frame it, and I finally found the perfect frames. Mr. Kimo? I found these at Walmart for $10. So I got two of these. It's meant for 3 photos, but I'm going to take the matting out, the piece of cardboard inside that divides it. I'm going to take that out and just have it be one big thing, and it's the perfect size, and I'm very excited about it. I was looking everywhere to try and find a good frame, and I finally found one at Walmart, which is really funny because my husband made a comment about how if it's not at Walmart, then you don't actually need it. And so he thought it was pretty funny when I was like, oh, I found it at Walmart. He's like, I guess you needed it then. So let's see, that was my cross stitch or my black work embroidery. That one's embroidery. I've been working on a knit along. And this one is by Expression Fiber Arts. So these are all kind of personal projects because I don't have any orders. So I'm actually working on my own projects right now. So this is by Expression Fiber Arts. I think this was the front, technically. So this is the corner of the blanket. This is, so it's a mystery knit along, which means that they're posting a new pattern or new section of the blanket every month. And this is January and February. That's it. That's all I've gotten done. It's January and February. I'm currently working on the swatch for the March pattern. No, I'm doing my live stream right now, buddy. I'm currently working on the swatch for February or for March. Each pattern is just a little bit different, so you have to swatch each new section. And I feel like being smart and actually like testing my gauge. So that's my knit along. I'm way behind on it, obviously, because it's September. But my big thing I've been working on is actually for new listings here for my Etsy, which unfortunately I don't think I'm going to get them posted this year. They're probably going to end up going live next holiday season. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, I'll probably end up going up next year. But these are all Christmas ornaments. I have 36 specific patterns, but they're probably going to end up making 40 plus designs because of variations I'm going to be doing. And I spent the vast majority of this past week since I finished all my orders. I've been working on future listings and future ideas. And so I've spent the vast majority of this week working on this project. That's what a lot of this pile right here is. These are most of my threads. I ended up making my own thread boards for these ornaments. They're literally just like Chex box cardboard, where I printed out the labels and I created my own thing here. So this is actually based on a pattern kit from Plaid Busilla, or at least most of them are. Most of them are based on a pattern from Plaid Busilla. But I'm kind of changing them up a little bit, changing the way I'm going to finish them. Plus, I just really don't like the way that Plaid Busilla did their patterns or the way they've managed the design process. So I've really been changing it up. So this binder, each page is a pattern with all the instructions for that individual pattern. It's a lot. My biggest problem has actually been the fact that I ran out of both paper and ink. So I had to go buy more, which, by the way, ink and paper are very expensive. I spent $100 on like 1,000 sheets of paper and new ink. That's a lot. So I still don't have everything printed out, but that's most of the patterns for what I'm doing. And since I have so many patterns, I need to stitch a sample for each of these patterns, and that's a lot. So I actually have enlisted my little sister, one of my little sisters. I tried to enlist both of them, but one of them's a stay-at-home mom, so she doesn't have a whole lot of time. And the other one has all the time in the world because her job has her just sitting at a desk waiting to answer the phone on the rare occasion. She's not a secretary. She actually has a really, really good job. It's just that she's not always needed. So she spends hours upon hours just sitting at her desk, twiddling her thumbs. And so she was like, yes, please give me something to do. So she's going to be helping me do test stitches for these patterns. And I'm very excited for her help. I've already completed two of these. And I'm working on a third one, though you can't see anything because it's literally white on white. So there's actually quite a bit of stitching on here. It's just all white. It'll ultimately be outlined in a blue, so it'll be visible and the texture will work out. But some of you might recognize this. This is from that giant Fiskars box that one of my little sisters gave me. This has all of the stuff that I need for working on these cross stitch patterns. And it has zippered pouches in a 3-ring binder setup. And it is so nice because I can just separate out the different sections of my patterns and the tools and pieces. And it is making it so much easier to deal with. So one of the patterns is Plaid Bucilla, is where the patterns are coming from. And the other one is from an old Jan Lynn Christmas cross stitch, which I've actually stitched the Jan Lynn one all before. My family is very familiar with them because they're ornaments that ended up on our Christmas tree as a kid. I stitched them when I was a teenager. But so I have a whole bunch of these. Like I said, they're based on these other patterns, but I'm sort of changing up a little bit. None of them originally use the like standard DMC colors. And so I've had to change some of the colors a little bit to be able to make it so I could actually replace the threads and the colors. Here's a sneak peek of the 2 designs that I have already finished. So here is, maybe you can see that. There we go. There's a little dove. So the original pattern for this says Peace on Earth next to it, but obviously I took the words off. So that's just a dove. So I might be stitching this on again, but with the Peace on Earth actually on it. And then I have a mitten. This one was actually fairly simple, but this blue on the background took forever. It like took all day yesterday just to do the blue. But it's so simple. The blue background is literally just lines. It's so simple that it was very meditative and I really, really enjoyed it. So I have a whole bunch of 14 count Aida cut into these 3.5-inch squares where I will be stitching these pattern pieces onto. And I've sent half the patterns to my little sister who's going to be helping me. And so she'll be stitching half of them. And then handing them off to me probably in October sometime. Or at least she'll hand off to me whatever she's finished by that point. Because October is when I'll see her next. But I have so much to do with these. Like I have to create the listings. I have to do all the math to figure out how long it actually takes to make each of the ornaments. And there's a lot that goes into creating a listing. This is just the first step of actually creating. Actually, I guess it's the second. First step is deciding what you want to sell, what you want to put up on a listing. Second step is actually like acquiring everything to be able to create that and then actually making the sample of the product. And then you have to do the math to be able to figure out how much it's actually going to cost you to be able to make the product, and then how much you're going to charge someone who's buying the product from you. And that's a whole lot of math and numbers, which I don't have a problem with. I know a lot of people don't really care for math very much, but I enjoy math, and so it's not that big of a problem for me. But there's a lot that goes into creating new listings. Then there's all the photography you have to do to be able to get photos for your listings. You actually have to go through and actually type everything out for the listing. Decide how you want to describe your products, what tags you want it to be connected with. I guess I'm not going to put that right there. Little Winston is curled up on the floor over here where I was sitting that. So I'm hoping to probably get these up probably next July. Yeah, it's probably going to be July when I get these up, because everything needs to go into getting them ready. But these have actually been one of the longest standing items I've been wanting to sell. They're one of the very, very first things that I came up with that I wanted to sell in an Etsy shop. And so to finally be getting the samples done and actually working on getting them ready to be sold is very exciting to me, because it's the first thing that I wanted to sell, and I am finally getting to that point where I can actually do so. And I'm very, very excited. Trying to decide what else is around me. I got myself some goodies. This is a butterfly hole punch. I've been wanting one of these since about the time that I opened my shop. And the idea is that I take one of my business cards, so I have my business card, and then I take the butterfly here, punch a hole. So there's now a butterfly hole. And then I take one of my little butterflies, and I string it through the hole. And I tie it on. Kind of like that. So I've been wanting to do that for a while. I generally give out one of my butterflies with my business cards. Like, that's just what I try and do. And so to be able to actually have a hole punch where I can attach the butterfly to the business card makes that a little bit more of a reality. I'm very excited about it. Though I do need to make more of my little butterflies because I'm running low. Yeah. Let's see here. So as for behind the scenes, I do want to show you my craft room a little bit. So you guys have kind of seen like my background here. This right here, the big white thing, this is actually a phone stand to film with. So whenever you see like my pack and order with me, videos or anything where you're like looking down on top of what I'm doing, it's being held up by this. So that's what this is. It gets moved all over the place. This pile is my getting rid of. I'm not diagnosed with ADHD, but what's the word? I connect with, I don't know. I relate to a lot of ADHD symptoms. One of which is piles. I always have piles. Always have, probably always will. But so this is my pile of stuff I'm getting rid of. Craft supplies that I just will never use or have. Yeah, I'll never use them because they're duplicates or they're just something that I just don't do. And that's all my little stuff. In here, I've been trying to keep my current projects, the ones that I want to work on, but I just haven't had time to do. Then I have 2 sewing machines. I have my serger, and I have my regular sewing machine. Both of these are quite old. The serger I only got last year. Maybe it was earlier this year. It would have been like early this year, I think. But the serger was basically new when I got it. But it was so old. It is so old that even though I got it in its original box, it came with a VHS for how to use it. Which obviously I can't view the VHS because I don't have a player for it. But that's how old the serger is. The sewing machine is actually the one that I learned how to sew on as a kid. So it's quite old for machine standards. I don't think that I'm old, but the sewing machine is fairly old. My mom now has a really, really fancy electronic, like has a computer screen on it. It's very fancy. You tend to see in my videos where I like reach up above everything here. That's because I have a whole bunch of drawers and boxes up there. So each of these hold various supplies or entire kits for various, sorry for all the camera movement. Each of those holds something for a specific listing. Like, actually, I guess only one of them does right now. Well, one of them holds all the stuff that I need for any of my tatted lace, has all the materials I need for it, other than the thread itself. And one of them has all the materials I need to be able to make my plastic canvas dice that I have, minus the yarn, which is all in bins elsewhere. Then there's these drawers right here. These are the same as what's up there. It's just that they're bigger. Yeah. Then there's my bookshelf, which actually I need to finish cleaning off. Those of you who have been here for a while know that this room used to be my library. And that's the remnants of the library. I had intended to get all the books packed up before I moved anything in here, but because of the flood that happened about a month ago, where all of my craft stuff got flooded in the basement, we had kind of a sense of urgency of getting my things out of the basement. And so I didn't quite get done, and now I have been ignoring it. So there's one bookshelf left full of books that I need to finish emptying. And it's not as easy as just throwing the books into a box because I'm actually cataloging which books are going into which boxes. So it takes a little bit of extra time to be able to keep track of where everything's going, because most of these books are going to end up in long-term storage. My husband and I are planning on moving at the end of our lease. And so we're planning on moving somewhere that's smaller and cheaper. And so the vast majority of our things are going to be ending up in storage, including pretty much all of our books, until we have enough money to be able to hopefully make a down payment on our own home. So I'm trying to catalog everything that way. Whatever happens, whether we need a specific book or something happens to the book boxes, I have a catalog of everything that we had and where it was. So it's taking me a little bit of extra time to do that. Then there's going to be a whole lot of camera moving here, so I hope I don't make you sick here. Okay. Here's the rest of my room. It's a disaster. It's a very small room. So right there, in front of the window, on the window seat, that's where I take all my photos. It's kind of like my little photo booth. There's boxes of projects, bags of projects. The 3 drawer right here has a whole bunch of my embroidery supplies, and I don't even remember what else. I've recently changed it all around, so I can't really remember. Yeah, it's a bit of chaos in here. I pretend like it looks nice and neat over here, but there's chaos over there. And I'm starting to learn that a lot of creators, that's how it's like for creators, where what's behind the camera or in front of the camera is aesthetic, sort of. Mine's definitely not aesthetic, but it's close. And everything behind the camera that you don't see is intensely chaotic. My goal is to have everything nice and neat because I want this to be able to be a place of zen, somewhere where I can just relax. And I mean, I really enjoy it in here anyway, but it feels messy to me and I don't really like it. So I'm still working on getting it cleaned up. And because I don't have any orders, I really should be working on cleaning up, but I've been ignoring it, which is just a vicious cycle. Thank you. In the comments, I was told that they like this angle, which actually, I appreciate that you like this angle and looks nice to you. Last week, on a fairly regular basis, I get messages from people, usually on Instagram, wanting me to pay them to share my products. They want me to pay them a certain amount of money, and then they will share one of my videos or one of my reels or one of my photos, which just feels super scammy to me because if they wanted to share my products, they just would. But there was one girl who was messaging me quite a bit, trying to convince me to pay her for a whole slew of things. She was trying to promise me a whole bunch of followers, and she was trying to promise me a whole bunch of subscribers and likes and permanent subscribers, and it just felt all sorts of sketchy. And she started giving me unsolicited advice on how to make my background better and how mine was not okay and how it was unacceptable, which, based on the advice she was giving me, I don't think she actually watched any of my live stream. I think maybe she saw like 2 seconds, just enough to actually like see like a screenshot. And I'm pretty sure that was all that she saw. But people are weird. But I ultimately told her to just stop. I'm not going to pay you. I am a small business that is run just by me. I don't make a whole lot of money. I don't have the kind of money where I can just blow it on advertising. If I'm going to be doing advertising, I'm going to pay a legitimate company, not just some random person who wants me to pay them money to be able to share my posts or my videos. So it was just all sorts of, it just felt sketchy. As an addition to wanting to share the behind the scenes to you guys, so now you've kind of seen like my crafting space generally. I also craft in my living room. I have a 3-tiered like cart that I have a whole bunch of craft supplies on for whatever project or order I'm working on at the time. And that has a lot of stuff on it. Though since I've moved all my craft stuff upstairs, it has a lot less on it because now I can keep stuff in here and it's easily accessible where I don't have to go downstairs. I also still have the vast majority of my yarn and excess supplies like my fabric and everything in the basement. But yeah, so this is my main like crafting space. But okay, back to general life behind the scenes, so you guys get to know me a little bit better. My husband and I are about to celebrate our 5-year wedding anniversary this weekend, and I'm very excited about it. My husband said that he doesn't really have anything planned for us, which makes me sad, but I think we're going to go see some caves because there's a lot of those around here, and we both love caves. So I think we're going to go see some caves. I have been on a weight loss journey over the last almost year. I've lost about 35 pounds in the last year, which feels really good. I might be closing in on 40. Maybe not. I haven't done the calculations recently. But I know I've lost about 35 pounds. And my husband and I recently have started doing evening walks together, which is really good. That gets me moving. It gets just makes me feel better. Do you want to come here? Come on. You want to come up? Or do you need to go outside? No. You'll have to wait. Winston's sitting here whining at me. No. So in trying to lose weight and trying to get more active, my husband has got me going on evening walks, which I think is actually why Winston's freaking out, because I said the W word, which I was foolish to do. No, we're not going. No. I know it's a big disappointment. I'm so mean. Come here. Come here. No. Come here. No. We're not going. I should not have said the W word. I'm so foolish. Those of you who saw Winston at the beginning of the video may have noticed that he has a nice short haircut. His hair gotten so long. It was awful. He's mostly black, except for he has tan legs and tan on his face. And it's around his eyes such that when his hair gets long, it looks like he has big, bushy, white, old man eyebrows. And it is absolutely hilarious. Unfortunately, they get so big and bushy that he can't see because they're just like over top of his face. So we got him a haircut. Yes. And now he can see. And now he constantly looks surprised and shocked because his eyes look so big. You guys might be interested to know that I was interviewed for by a magazine for local entrepreneurs here in St. Louis. And just this morning, they sent me the draft of the printed interview for review. So that's in Voyage STL or Voyage St. Louis magazine. I don't know when they're actually going to be publishing my interview, but it's about like my origins, what I sell, why I do what I do, kind of telling my story a little bit. And so I'm very excited about it. I'm really disappointed in the rough draft they sent me, or I don't know what draft it would be considered, but I'm really disappointed in what they sent me to review because they changed. Like, I expected that they would change some of my wording and some of my grammar to make it more pleasing to the reader or whatever. But I worked really hard on my So everything was done online. It was basically a questionnaire where you typed out huge, long answers. It was basically a test where you do essay answers. Basically an essay question test about your own life. And I worked really hard on getting everything edited and getting it all to sound correct and be accurate to my life and what I'm trying to say. And I expected that they were going to change some things because that's what are they called? People who interview other people to be able to post it in, what's it called? Journalist. That's kind of what journalists do, where they'll take what's said and they'll change it just a little bit to be able to make it more pleasing or whatever, more catching for the reader. But they changed some of my stuff to the point where it either means the complete opposite of what I said, or is just, it has changed it to where it is blatantly false and not accurate to my life. And I'm really upset about it. And so they've given me like 3 days to get everything proofread and any changes submitted. And so I'm going to have to get up the mental energy to deal with fixing what they changed to make it actually accurate. So I'm just a little bit annoyed. I got that email at like 12:30 in the morning this morning. I don't know why. The person who's been corresponding with me like only ever emails me in the wee hours of the morning. And I don't know why. Like if she's in the same time zone as I am or local, why is she emailing me at midnight? I don't understand. I don't understand. I recently saw, so I'm just going to completely change subject here. I recently saw a video or a reel or something. I think it was a reel on Instagram of a lady who had a small business where she was doing stuff with balloons. I don't know exactly what her business was, but she was doing stuff with balloons. Sorry, talking hurts. And the video was of her sitting on her couch watching some show while blowing up balloons. And people were really confused as to what in the heck she was doing and why she was doing it on the couch and why she was like just doing other things. And apparently that's just weird to work like that, I guess. The vast majority of the time when I am crafting and doing stuff, I am either watching something or I am listening to something. I'm going to work on sewing in some ends here while we're chatting. So I thought it really strange because I'm always listening to audiobooks or watching TV shows. Like I just finished the TV show House like last week. And I just started the show Psych, which I've been meaning to watch for years and just have never actually watched it before. And so far, Drew and I are really enjoying it. My husband and I are really enjoying it. It's been a long time since I saw my husband just laugh at something. Not that he's like crazy stoic or serious, but he just isn't really free with his laughter. And so it's really nice seeing him just really get into Psych and giggle with the references and the shenanigans. And so because he works during the day, he's only watched about half the episodes that I have seen, but it's still nice watching with him. But so I've been watching Psych, and I have been, in the last couple months, I finally finished reading or listening to The Count of Monte Cristo, which is a very, very long audiobook. It's just a very long book in general, but very, very long. It's like 50 plus hours long, like crazy, crazy long. And I finally finished. It's definitely one that I would want to read a second time because there's just so much in it. There's so much that goes on in that book. And there's so many characters and so much plot that I have a hard time following plot lines and stories and characters. And so I would want to go back and reread it. But it's so long that it's probably going to be a little while before I reread it. Though after finishing it, my husband and I did watch the movie. Which the movie compared to the book is just terrible. The movie on its own, for its own story, is okay. It's a decent movie. But as soon as you try and compare it to the book that it's based on, it's awful. There's so much that they missed, and that, like, there's an entire, like, core family to the story that is just gone in the movie. Like, they are pivotal to, like, the entire storyline, and they're just not in the movie at all. There's a second family that is also pivotal, but more in the background to, like, the whole storyline. And there's a nod to that at the very beginning of the movie, but, like, that's it. So that was very upsetting. Having just read the book, I was just like, that's not okay. I was really mad. I was critiquing it the whole way through. I'm so glad my husband's patient, because I'm sure I was annoying with my, this isn't right. Let's see here. And I'm sure that's how a lot of people feel, especially, like, Lord of the Rings is really big in our house. My husband and I play a game called Lord of the Rings Online together, and my husband's obsessed with Lord of the Rings. We're constantly watching YouTube videos about Lord of the Rings lore. I've been slowly learning more and more about the lore of Lord of the Rings, obviously through watching all these videos, but also just listening to my husband talk and studying it myself and trying to read the books. I actually haven't read the Lord of the Rings trilogy or The Hobbit, like, on my own. I've started, I just haven't actually finished them. I tend to listen to my books on audiobook instead of actually reading them, because I'm always doing something. And so it's a lot easier for me to listen while I'm working than it is for me to take the time to sit down and just read. But so there's a lot of Lord of the Rings that goes on in this house. My husband and I also play a game called Lord of the Rings Online. Did I say that? I don't know if I said that. Try to read a comment here. My little sister just said that a really great book to movie adaptation is True Grit, which I agree. That's a very good adaptation. I know I've read the book, and I know I've seen the movie, and I remember liking both of them. The True Grit that's the old John Wayne movie, the old John Wayne, True Grit. Another one that's really good that everybody else says is good, but I can neither confirm nor deny because I don't really remember, is the movie Holes, which apparently it is like almost word for word from the book and scene for scene, which I think is pretty awesome. So talking about adaptions and that kind of thing, have you guys been watching Rings of Power, which is the new Lord of the Rings ish show on Amazon Prime? Have you guys been watching it? Of course, my husband and I have been watching it. I have watched, there's 3 episodes so far, and I've watched all 3 episodes twice. My husband's only watched them once. I have a lot more time than he does. And so far, I'm enjoying it. I am enjoying it so far. And I have been intentionally avoiding any and all critique videos and content on YouTube because I want to be able to enjoy it without other people's voices in my head. I tried having a discussion the other day with someone who the discussion was no fun. They were trying to talk to me as if I didn't know any Lord of the Rings lore, and like there was no way that I could possibly know more about what was supposed to be going on in the story at this time than they do, and I just did not enjoy that conversation very much. But yeah, so I try not to really talk to anybody about it a whole lot because I'm enjoying it. I really am enjoying Rings of Power. And I really don't care what anyone else thinks about it because I'm enjoying it. Let's see. I jumped around a little bit there. So I finished reading Count of Monte Cristo. I just finished reading Time Machine by Orson Welles? No. H.G. Wells. There we go. I just finished reading Time Machine by H.G. Wells, which that is a 3.5 hour audiobook. And that was fascinating. I don't remember which version of the Time Machine movie I've seen, but I know it was different than the book. So I feel like that's an adaptation that a lot of people don't really like very much, was the adaptation of the Time Machine into a movie. But I like the movie for itself, and I really, really enjoyed the book. Another comment here. And right now I'm reading 1984 by George Orwell. Which I, of course, read that way back in like junior high or high school. And it is so weird reading it now and being like, there is some terrifying content in this book that I'm amazed that they had us read as teenagers. But it's also fascinating to read it. So that's my current book is 1984, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm also very slowly reading the Sword of Shannara series. I've read so I'm reading in chronological order within the story and not chronological order for when it was published. So the first book I read was book 0, which is the prequel. And then I read the first book in the series, which is actually the first book that was written. And now I'm on the second book, which is called The Elf Stones. I think that's what it's called. So I'm on the third book, basically. And that's my mealtime read. So when I'm sitting down eating, I'll read a book. They made a show of the Sword of Shannara. I know they made a series on the Sword of Truth, where they basically like made an episode a chapter, which was decent until they like skewed off of the book, which was terrible. It was a bad idea. However, no, there's no however. The Sword of Truth was a fascinating and amazing series, except for the parts where it was just awful, which sounds really, really dumb when I say it out loud. There was one particular book that was just very, very dark. Shannara, Sword of Shannara. But so in the Sword of Truth series, there's one particular book that is just very, very dark. Like you can tell that the author was in a dark place when they were writing it. And there is some awful things that happen in that book. And so I ended up skipping like entire chapters in that book. And there's just some really dark themes in the Sword of Truth series where I read the whole series and I would love to reread it again, but I would need to have like an edited version of it, because I remember thinking after I read it that I would never read it again because it was just so disturbing, inappropriate. I'm not even sure what I would call it. But I do remember the author's photo in the back of the Sword of Truth series, like the books. The photo was just super creepy. Like it looked like a mugshot of some predator. It was just creepy. It was just creepy. But I know that one got made into a TV show, because I remember watching a couple episodes of it because I was curious. That's definitely the kind of show that could very easily be turned into a Game of Thrones-esque show, which I have never seen Game of Thrones, by the way. I don't like that kind of thing. Nope. Going back to the Rings of Power series, they brought on a couple of producers or something from the Rings of Power production, brought in a couple of people from Game of Thrones to work on the Rings of Power. And so a lot of people were scared that there'd be a lot of smut and inappropriateness in the Rings of Power. The Shannara Chronicles only had 2 seasons. Well, thank you for double checking and finding that out. I might have to look that up. So there was a lot of fear that there would be a lot of Games of Thrones type stuff going on in Rings of Power, which there'd be absolutely no reason for that kind of stuff to be in there. And it looks like nothing of that sort is happening, which is great. I don't want to see it. Where was I going with that? I honestly don't know where I was originally at in my thinking. 2016 is when the Shannara Chronicles was made. Oh, I was talking about the fact that I'm reading this sort of Shannara series. Nose itch. But that's the Sword of Shannara series is what I read while I'm just sitting and eating. That's my lunchtime book. I know that a lot of people say that reading or watching movies or whatever, anything that distracts you while you're eating creates unhealthy eating habits. But given that I pre-measure all of my food before I put it on my plate, I'm really not too concerned about how much I eat while I'm distracted because it's already weighed out. I've been losing weight through calorie counting. I only eat 1,500 calories a day, supposedly. And that's how I've lost my weight. I'm not giving advice. I'm just saying that is what I did and have been doing. So, yeah. This video was intended to kind of be just a behind the scenes for who I am and it's like being a small business and having my crafting space. And I hope that it was kind of that for you guys. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. When that interview comes out in the Voyage STL or Voyage St. Louis magazine, I will post the link to the article and I will share it with you guys. Hopefully they'll make the changes that I want so that it's actually accurate. If it's not, I will post corrections on my Facebook. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate your guys' support. Like I said, if you have any questions or other comments or thoughts, please post them in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Yeah, I guess I don't have a lot else to share. Thank you for watching this far. I'm still trying to get to 50 subscribers here on YouTube. If I can get 50 subscribers, I can start doing live streams through my phone. And if I can do that, then I will I'll be able to start doing like top down. Excuse me. I can do top down live streams where I can do tutorials and I can show you what I'm actually working on and you can see what I'm doing. And I could probably give you more of it, like a tour of all my craft stuff with actually using my phone rather than carrying around my big computer. So if you share my content and you comment and you like my video, that helps it so other people will start seeing my videos, and I'll hopefully get more subscribers. So any support or help from you be wonderful. If not, whatever. Thank you for being here again, and I will probably see you next week. I'm trying to think of my schedule. I've actually received a summon for jury duty sometime in the next couple months, and so there may be a week or two where I'm just not able to do my live stream because I'll be busy. So thank you guys. I will see you next week, and I will see you on Facebook and Instagram in the interim. Bye.